I was watching a video by, let me double check. I don't know. He's really famous actually, but I can't remember his name to save my life. So Patrick Bet-David. Yes. So I was watching a video this morning during my jog by a guy named Patrick Bet-David. He's the owner of the channel Valuetainment on YouTube. In this video, he says something that really resonated with me. So the title of this video is The Danger of Using Weak Words. I grew up in a family that is just negative. It's not even the word to describe how my immediate family members are. All kinds of projection, fear, insecurities are constantly being chucked around in the household as I grow up. So for the longest time, I had this sense of defiance against certain words or certain, let's say, certain intonation that people use. And for the longest time, I felt pretty bad about feeling bad when someone's trying to put me down or project, their bullshit onto me, or when they're trying to, in whatever way, either a lot of times it's outright straightforward, sometimes it's covert, just different ways of trying to instill their negativity onto me. That was when I become very ill, and when I actually externalized my feelings, I was constantly put down. For children to grow up in such an environment, eventually you're going to shut down. You're going to build that toxic shame in you. And eventually you're going to quit talking about it and grow numb to the continuous disrespect, unfortunately. This is why what I have heard today was so important. So Patrick said that everything in life is about language. What he meant by that is a lot of times people seem to deflect their own responsibility of their own growth, of taking care of themselves, of taking care of their own lives by either projecting their negativity onto another person or trying to instill their victimhood. What did he say? He said victimhood, insecurity, and fear onto you or anyone that's around them. It's very easy for us to develop negative self-talk. It's really important for us to know that our upbringing, our conditioning, our peers, whoever, our environment, everything that we've been used to has an effect on us. And if we grew up in such an environment where it's unsupportive, even negative, and often abusive, it's very easy to fall into that cycle of very negative self-talk and not even know it. So what was really important from Patrick today was that we need to make a list of words that are not effective towards our goals. We need to make a list of words that are not constructive towards ourselves. Words and intonations, I think, are very important. It's not just words. For example, you can't do this because any negative adjectives such as, you're stupid, you're ugly, you're difficult, you have an attitude problem, you're full of problems. Those are the words that we need to look out for when we are going about our days. Like this morning, as I was listening to this, I started realizing more about, hey, I need to, besides of making a mental note of these words, I need to actually also write a list of these words out. That way I could see it. While we're getting rid of certain words and intonations that we use against both ourselves and other people, we can actually replace these negative terminologies and intonations with positive ones. Let's say helpful ones, such as, I can instead of I can. Notice good things about ourselves. Notice our strengths. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses. Instead of multiplying upon our weaknesses like what some haters do, we don't need to be hating on ourselves. There's already enough haters out there. We don't need to be hating on ourselves, okay? Really. So make a list of these negative words and try to be more and more mindful about, the type of thoughts we put in ourselves with the words and sometimes intonations. By making the list of words that we use, we become more aware. We have to understand how these words don't serve us well. If they're not building towards our goal, we should not use them. When we finally decide to cut out certain words and intonations that we use against ourselves that are not helpful, and also stop others from disrespecting us, this is all a part of self-respect. It's difficult to have that sense of self-respect when we've been steeped in a highly toxic environment. Really, one of the first steps that we need to take is to realize when someone's words, actions, even like as covert as intonation, is actually putting us down, and we need to put a stop to it when we can. We have the choice, we have the intelligence to realize how we feel after we spoke with so-and-so. If it's a continuous feeling like shit after you spoke with, say, your dad, your uncle, or a certain friend, then that might be a sign that you need to cut that off. As soon as that person tries to instill or project their negativity on you, we can tell them, hey, you know what, I really don't appreciate what you've just said. That's really unhelpful to me. And if they don't stop, then that should be a sign of, maybe we need to get away from that person or a situation or a work environment. I mean, it could be any of those and more. So it's important to really cut off certain influences that are not helpful. We wouldn't regularly intake poison into our body. Then why would we regularly, withstand toxic verbalizations or toxic attitudes into our mind? It's the same thing. Know when to shut it down or step away. So a lot of times we can't really control the situation or an outcome of the situation. The only thing that we can actually really control is really our perspective and how we view things. And oftentimes we really have to get creative to get over a certain mental obstacle that we might have placed upon ourselves. Some people can't really face certain aspects of their traumatic experience, and they tend to cover it up with all positivity and such, and they can't even talk about anything that will bring up a certain emotion within them. It is the ability of us to be with our emotions, especially the negative, the not so comfortable emotion. It is our ability to be able to sit with our discomforts that can actually give us the insight to actually start using those experiences as our fuel to help us along the path of personal development. As my journey progresses and as I share my journey, the reason why I wanted to share this journey is because there are certain things I want to prove. And it's okay if I can't prove a certain theory, and if I can prove a certain theory, at least I can share this process with other people who may be struggling with similar issues in their life. So it's okay. It'll be okay.